Hi, this is Dave Worden. I'm here at Schmitt Music in Bloomington, Minnesota. I came down specifically to test this instrument. It's a brand new model from Willson. It's their A27. What's unusual is it's a student model, but it's 3-valve compensating. For the 3-valve compensator like this one, it's made to play in tune with the 3rd valve plus 1 or 2. So we get the 1, 2, and 3, and the 1 and 3 combinations much better in tune than on a standard 3-valve. So what happens is the air routes through the front of the horn, it hits the main tubes, it curves around, goes back into the 1st valve. So it's using the front 1st valve tube plus this small loop back here. The same with the 2nd valve. It goes to the front loop, but then this small loop here. Those loops add a little bit of extra length to make up for what we're lacking normally with the 1, 3 and 1, 2, and 3 combinations. It also affects 2 and 3. That can be actually a little bit low on these horns. It's an anomaly because it's hard to make this 2nd loop short enough. We'll see if Eastman and Willson can put their heads together and maybe find a way to fix that one. But overall, it gives the young player a chance to start on a lightweight 3-valve instrument that is in tune. When you get down to the low register, especially the 1, 2, and 3 fingering can be almost a quarter step or even almost a half step sharp depending on the instrument. That's very disruptive to actually learning what the right pitches sound like. It's much better to play to have that intonation working for you and teaching your ear what that B natural concert or C sharp and treble clef actually sounds like when it's in tune. The instrument will look familiar to many Willson players. The bracing and so on, the valve cap treatment here is very similar to the standard Willson instrument. And I think it's a unique instrument in the market. I don't think there's ever been a compensating 3-valve made for the student market. Besson used to make one that was built for the professional market, or at least the advanced amateur market. It was based on their Imperial, which was at the time their top of the line 4-valve euphonium, but it was a 3-valve compensator based on that horn. This one probably has some features from the professional Willson, but the smaller shank helps it be friendly for a young player. The main bore of the instrument, though, is professional. It's about a .590, which is what most of the professional horns have. In the case of the Yamaha, for example, the venerable 321 also has a small shank, but it goes out to a .570 bore, .570, where this goes to a .590. So this allows for a little bigger and richer sound. It does take a bit more air, but a student can adapt to that rather quickly. And having the capability of more projection, getting more volume without getting into edgy, brassy sounds is actually a good thing. So it's a very interesting instrument. I'm happy that Schmitt let me know they had this one in stock now. It's a brand new arrival, and I think you'll find it's got a place in the market. I don't know for sure exactly where the niches are that it'll fit. Certainly for a young player to get this, if they've had just a simple 3-valve instrument to start with, switching to this one, we'll let them use the same fingerings but play in tune, which is much better. If they're for sure going to be an advanced player, well, you'd probably want to go to a 4-valve, even non-compensating 4-valve, when they're switching horns, because that would get them into the 4th valve, especially the left-hand 4th valve operation. They'd learn that at an early age. But for someone who just wants to play in band and have a good time, and that would include amateur adults who enjoy playing in concert band but don't really very often get down into the low register, and there are very few band pieces that do. The 3-valve is lighter to carry. It responds a little more easily because there are just fewer tubing curves to go through. And the smaller shank is a little easier for some people to blow. Also, the small shank mouthpiece has a wide variety of mouthpiece sizes available from different manufacturers. The so-called European shank, which is the medium size, limits you more. The Willson 2900, for example, has that medium shank, at least in the US it does. And that limits your choices a bit in mouthpieces. The small shank is very standard. All student instruments, trombones, the small tenor trombones, use it, so there's a wide variety of mouthpieces available. That's what I see as one of the main advantages of choosing this size for the lead pipe. There's also a nickel-silver lead pipe, which helps the horn hold up a little better once you blow into it, and helps it hold up better in the long run, preventing red rot and things like that that can happen where you're first blowing into the instrument in this main tube here. It collects a lot of acids and so on from your system, and that can cause the brass to actually rot after time. The nickel-silver helps to prevent that. So again, nice instrument. I don't have a scale with me, so I can't tell you what it weighs, but it's definitely lighter than a 4-valve is. And even with a compensating system, I think it's probably lighter than a non-compensating 4-valve. So it's a very interesting horn. I believe the first of its kind on the market. And it's something you might want to take a look at if you have a chance. Thanks for listening today.
Mm-hmm.